guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Olivia and today I'm doing another episode of Liv's Kitchen. We're obviously in the kitchen and today we are going to be baking two things actually, which is very exciting. So we're going to do Oreo chunk cookies and we're going to make brownies, both of which are dairy free but not vegan, because I'll explain. Basically the cookies are, these cookies are so good, and you can make them without eggs, but so I've made them with eggs and without eggs. I think they're nicer with eggs because they don't really taste that different, but they hold their shape a lot better, but they do work really fine without eggs. And when I make them without eggs, I just use this, which I would highly recommend anyone who is vegan gets one of these, because it's good. So I just follow the directions on this and replace, there's 4 eggs in the cookie recipe, so I replace with the equivalent amount of this. However, today I'm going to make them with eggs because we have so many eggs and my parents keep telling me how I need to use eggs when I'm baking because we have so many. So yeah, very long-winded explanation. Basically I'm going to make them with eggs. And then these brownies as well, I'm just going to be real for a second. I love vegan brownies. I have made vegan brownies and I've bought vegan brownies that I have loved, but I have never ever been able to find in a shop anywhere or to make vegan brownies that have the exact same texture and taste as the brownies I used to always make, and they're just the nicest thing ever. So not that vegan brownies aren't as nice, because they are just as nice, but they're different. And I'm making some brownies to send to my brother who lives in England, so he prefers these ones, so I'm making these, and I'm making some for him and some for us as well. So and obviously if you are not dairy free, then you can make these just with normal butter, but I use, for both the brownies and the cookies, I use this, which is the Stork baking block, and it just is like normal butter, but it's actually dairy free. It's kind of like an accidental vegan thing because I don't think it's meant to be dairy free, but it is. So they are dairy free, however they're not vegan because they have eggs in, but it would be very easy to replace the eggs, or to, obviously, you know, I'm rambling, but I just wanted to say that. So these are not vegan recipes, but they are dairy free for anyone who is dairy intolerant or trying to reduce dairy intake. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop rambling, so let's just get into making the Oreo chunk cookies. Okay, so I've got all my ingredients laid out here. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is process 20 Oreos. This, by the way, I'm making like a double batch of these, so if you don't want as many as I'm making, then you can obviously halve this. But yeah, so the first thing you're gonna want to do is process 20 Oreos. You can use a NutriBullet or a blender or a food processor, whatever. So you just want to process them until they are like a very fine crumb. So once you've done that, you're going to want to preheat your oven. We have a fan oven, so I do like about 160 degrees, but if you don't have a fan oven, I would go probably about 180. And we're now going to face the same problem we have every single time. You can probably barely hear me because our oven is so loud, but you're just gonna have to bear with me. So the next thing you're gonna want to do is measure out your dry ingredients into a bowl. So I'm gonna grab a kind of medium to large size bowl, and into this bowl I'm going to do 500 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and my fine crumb Oreo mixture. going to mix that all really well together until it is thoroughly combined. We're just going to set that aside for now, and for this next step I like to use, we have like a stand mixer or like an electric mixer, but I think you can do it by hand. It just might take a wee while, but I'm just going to grab our KitchenAid tabletop mixer, and if anyone else is using a mixer like this, this is the attachment that I'm using. So into this large bowl, you're going to put 460 grams of butter. And just a little side note, you do kind of want your butter to be quite soft. If you're using that Stork stuff, it already is soft enough. But if you're not, you'll probably want to just soften your butter for about 10-20 seconds in the microwave. Okay, so into this big bowl with the butter, you're going to add 440 grams of brown sugar and 200 grams of white or caster sugar. To pop all of this into your mixer and mix until it is really thoroughly combined. If you're doing this by hand, it's gonna take you a while, I'm not gonna lie, but you just need to beat it like really thoroughly until it is well combined. So once that is all really well combined, you're going to add in your eggs and vanilla. So you'll need 4 eggs and 2 tablespoons of vanilla. However, if you've been here before, you know I never measure vanilla. I don't really know why, I just don't. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it, but if you want to measure it, then it is 2 tablespoons. So 4 eggs, 2 tablespoons of vanilla into this bowl. And you're going to mix that again until it is really nice and light and fluffy. Okay, so now that that is all well mixed and looks quite, you know, nice and fluffy, we're gonna add in the dry ingredients. I would also say at this point, if it looks curdled, that doesn't matter, because adding in the dry ingredients always fixes that. And I also was gonna say, with the dry ingredients, you don't need to sift them because it's cookies. I only really sift things if it's like a kind of light, like spongy cake that I'm making. For like cookies and brownies, I never really sift because it's kind of like a lumpy, it doesn't make sense to say it's a lumpy food, but unless you have like really lumpy flour, I don't tend to sift. So into this bowl now, we'll lift the mixer up. You're gonna bring over your dry ingredients and you're gonna add these in I'd say probably like a quarter of the dry mix in at a time, and just like turn the beater back on and mix it until that's all mixed in, and then add in another quarter of the dry mix and keep going until all the dry mix has been added in. So now that's all well mixed, I'm just gonna take this bowl off the mixer, and into this bowl you're gonna add 20 more Oreos, but this time you're just gonna break them up into like roughly quarters. And yeah, just pop them into the mixture and then stir them through with a wooden spoon. So the mixture will look something like this at this point, and I always think it looks a bit like cake mixture because, like, I mean, the consistency is pretty like soft and it kind of just drops off. So I always think at this point, like, oh my goodness, it looks not like cookie dough at all. I would definitely say this is not like normal cookie dough, and actually if you taste it at this point, I think it tastes kind of strange. Like, it's not the kind of thing where you would like just make it just to eat the cookie dough, if that makes sense, but they taste so good once they're cooked. But so I don't really know what that's about, but anyway, at this point I'm just gonna pop this bowl actually into the fridge for about an hour, and this is like pretty essential. I have done it once where I put them in the freezer instead for half an hour, and that did work, but I think it's better if you have time to put it in the fridge. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put this, you don't really need to cover it or anything because it's not in for that long, but yeah, just make sure it's all stirred through really well combined, and then just stick it into the fridge for about an hour. So my timer has just gone off, but it's been an hour since I put the cookie dough into the fridge. So I'm now just going to spoon, like dessert spoon size, like dollops onto baking trays and put them in the oven for about 13 minutes. So I'm just sitting down here and Elsie's coming. She's come to join me. She come to join me. Oh, that's nice. Say hi. You say hello everyone. Good girl. Yeah, so I have just taken the cookies out of the oven. They ended up being in for 16 minutes. And I had to do a few. I had to put like 3 trays in and then take them out and then put another 3 in because yeah, the recipe makes like a lot of cookies. So yes, I have just taken them out of the oven, and yeah, so I had them in for about 16 minutes, and then when you take them out, you want to just leave them on the trays. So around the edges you want them to be like just crispy, but in the middle they'll still be really soft and you'll kind of think like they aren't really cooked. But then just leave them on the trays for like a good 15 minutes and then transfer them to like a wire cooling rack, because they do continue to cook when you just leave them on the trays. So yeah, that is the cookies all finished. Okay, so next we are gonna do the brownies. So for this, actually you only need one like mixing bowl, but instead of a bowl you're going to use a saucepan. So if you get like a large saucepan, and into your saucepan you're going to put 230 grams of butter. So I'm again using the Stork block, and you're going to want to melt that on the stove.
You were the laughter early in the morning, down in the kitchen watching TV. You were the music.
Okay, so now that that butter is all melted, I just took it off the stove and placed it on like these mats on my workbench. Then you're going to stir in 4 eggs and 2 cups of white sugar.
Music that led me to the 6th string. And now it's been so long since I've heard you sing. I looked up to you, brother, even when you lost
And just stir that through until it's really well combined.
your way in the madness of New York City.
Then you're going to pop in 2 teaspoons of vanilla and stir that through.
Oh, you found her, and now I know this.
And then you're just going to add in all of the dry ingredients. So that's going to be 2/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, 1 cup of plain flour, half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of baking powder. So you're just going to pop them in. Like I said before, you don't really need to sieve them. I mean, you can if you want, but you don't really need to. And then just stir those through until it's all really well mixed.
All for me. You told me the story of how you met each other. Manhattan for coffee, first stop Astor Place. 5 years later, you walk into the altar, and now she's gonna.
You're just going to split the batter between 2 baking tins lined with greaseproof paper and pop them in the oven at about 160 degrees for a fan oven and about 180 for a normal oven for about 25 minutes.
Share our family's name. I looked up to you, brother, even when you lost your way in the madness of New York City. Oh, you found her, and now I know there's hope for me. I know there's hope for me.
Okay, so I've just taken the brownies out of the oven. I left them just in the baking pans for like 5 minutes or so, and then I lifted them out onto wire cooling trays, so they're just cooling. So I don't want to get up because I'm really lazy and the dog's asleep on me. But my kitchen table right now literally is just like covered in like cookies and 2 big massive things of brownies. So yeah, but I just wanted to say I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like more like food related videos, or if you like these like bake with me type videos, then please let me know and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did enjoy it. Also sorry, this was like low-key all over the place because I literally am just so tired today, and I don't even know what's wrong with me, but I literally just feel like sleeping for a week. So anyway, I hope that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope it's a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
I know there's hope for me.